Hi, all you trumpet aficionados out there. I've had a request from one of my subscribers to do a video on Flutter-tongue. Actually, every subject for me is a pretty deep subject, so I'm going to do this on the fly today. I haven't written a script. It's just going to be free form, so I hope you get something out of it. First off, I've been told, I don't know if it's true or not, I've been told that some people are genetically predisposed to being able or not being able to flutter tongue. So if you can't flutter tongue, as I tell my students who can't flutter tongue, mess around and see what you can do, because the whole point of any kind of off the trumpet activity is to figure out stuff about how your body works, become more conscious of it, and see how it relates to trumpet playing. That's the main thing. So for those of you who can flutter, this is going to be aimed mostly at you, obviously. So I'm going to flutter a little bit. Now I'm assuming you can hear, you'll be able to hear the airstream. Now, if I vocalize, it'll be a little easier for you to hear. So if I just sing a note, and what I recommend is when you're singing, sing with resonance. So your vocal cords are relaxed and just kind of riding on the flow of the air, and the air is just like a slow sigh, like a very comfortable wave, just like that. When that wave becomes strong enough, has enough weight to it, you might feel, then your vocal cords can ride on it. Now you're ready to flutter. I'm saying R. See, I can put my tongue in a lot of different positions. So the first thing you can experiment with is see if you can find a position where the flutter works. So that's forward. Now I know that'll look a little... Excuse me. Apparently the update to the firmware of my camera has caused a malfunction. And it seems like I can't record continuously, which is really annoying to me because I like to give you guys and gals unedited stuff. So I'll just splice this together. Here we go. So I'm just doing this with voice now. How, you see how when my throat position and the shape and size of the oral cavity changes, I didn't change the pitch of my voice. So mess around with that. That's something just to play with. All these things are to play with. Now, of course, we're not dealing with vocalizing when we're playing the instrument. When we're playing the instrument, we're actually trying to refrain from vocalizing. Some people do make noises in their throat. If you notice yourself doing that, ignore it and relax. That's about the best advice I can give you. Okay, so let's take this to the wind. If I go, there's my flutter in the wind stream. Now I'm going to do it so you can hear it a little better. It sounds a little bit like a jackhammer, I think, at least from my ears here. I'm going to take the mouthpiece out and just see if I can catch the edge of the lead pipe. Now we're going to start to experiment, and this is where it gets interesting. Can I keep the flutter going when I'm blowing more gently? And this is a really good thing to put into your, kind of like your daily routine. So if you can flutter, and you can flutter with a nice strong flutter like that, which many of my students do when I ask them to flutter, It's very forceful. Yeah, it kind of sounds like a drill. If I back off that a little bit in terms of the pressure of the air, and now my touch of my tongue is very gentle. So even though there's less intense air flowing, the flow is still very free. That's what you're trying to cultivate. Now, if you think that's hard to do when you're just blowing air, for most people it's way more difficult to do on the trumpet. So now let's go to the trumpet and try it this way. So the first thing you should try and do is play with your best sound, the freest vibration, the most balanced feel, nothing holding on, just this feeling of, like with the voice, that the air is carrying your lips and there's no striving involved. When you can do that, and you add the flutter, then you're trying to keep the sound and the pitch the same. Now diminuendo. Practice at the soft end, bringing the flutter in, and then letting go of it and just sustaining a straight tone. Flutter in, sustaining a straight tone. What I hope you'll notice is this has to do with support of the air. When we blow with less force, however we think about it, there's a tendency to also to drop the support of the air. So you might think what the lungs are resting on is a little bit more squishy. It doesn't have the firmness, so you can keep that constant, steady flow. Now you're going to feel this in different ways and imagine it in different ways, and that's exactly what I would like you to do. Whatever images come to your mind, that it's like your body can be trying to talk to you. And so if you can pick up on the fact that your body is trying to tell you something, listen carefully. And if you get that in a sensation, you notice a particular sensation, or you get a picture in your mind of what it looks like, what's happening inside the mouth, for example, or you get a concept of something in nature, for example, or something you've experienced before. That's 4 things right off the bat that you can think, oh, my body's trying to talk to me. And this is really, really important. If you become sensitive to this, you're going to be able to make progress really rapidly. And that's what all great players have figured out. They're listening to what their body is telling them, and they're listening to the result that's coming out of the horn, and they're connecting those 2 things together. So even though this is kind of a strange exercise and something you don't have to musically do very often, it's still a very valuable thing to do in terms of discovery. That's what this is all about. Now, I know many of you out there may have questions about, well, what do I do with that? Extend yourself a little bit, okay? Wow. In order to stay open and relaxed enough to flutter in the upper register, I have to use much, much more support. And it requires also much more control. I'm not just jamming and forcing the air because I'm trying to flutter very gently. So start with where it's comfortable, as always. Start with where it's easy in terms of the range, in terms of the dynamic, and then challenge yourself by working to the extremes where the flutter is becoming more gentle and you're playing softer, and then also into the upper register and the lower register. I haven't tried this lately. I wonder what this is like. So I just played chromatically all the way down to the pedal C and with the flutter. Isn't that interesting? I think it's interesting, and I hope all you trumpet geeks out there think it's interesting too. The point is, how does it relate to trumpet playing? Always be thinking, well, how does this connect? How does this help me to do stuff? So I'll give you a couple of hints. It helps your tongue to stay poised and ready to articulate and be in a very good position in the mouth without the back of the tongue and the throat tightening up, because you have to maintain airflow in order to flutter. So that's one of the main reasons for doing it. And I know that many of you have tried this and you notice, oh, that's, yeah, think about it in terms of, well, why does that happen? You know, and see if you can figure it out. You'll learn a whole lot about it. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing, then I'll let you go, because I know you want to practice all these things, and I hope you've been stopping the video and trying out some of these things, because I don't feel like you're interrupting me if you just push the button. It's no problem for me. So I'm going to show you something else. This is playing in between the notes, and that's another great way to use a flutter tongue. Do you see how the sound is going all the time, even when I'm half valving? That requires a lot of control, a lot of support without force. It requires a touch with the air, a steadiness and a very intentional flow in the air. And your tongue needs to actually be supple, as do your chops need to be supple in order to keep that vibration going. So don't force yourself into tension. Don't force yourself to try and get the result. What I'm showing you are kind of, for a lot of people, these are going to be high-level skills. Bending notes with flutter, that's extremely difficult. So that's kind of where I am now. It's like, how can I bend them? Well, bending them down is not difficult. What about bending them up? Can I even bend the note up? Now, I realize those are crazy things, but I'm just encouraging you to be a child who is curious and just keep playing until you figure this stuff out for yourself. And then see how it relates to trumpet playing. You'll be able to figure it out, because a lot of this relates to articulation. Now, I've also got a request to do an articulation video. Articulation is a huge subject, and I don't know how I can possibly approach it, because it combines many different trumpet playing skills, and they all have to be doing their own job really well in order for your articulation to be good. Now, if you're having a good time with articulation, great, but I get a lot of complaints, and I see a lot of my students having problems with it, and I have problems myself. So watch for that. I'll post that whenever I get it done. Okay, thanks for joining me again today. Put some of this stuff into practice and have fun when you're doing it, and see what you can discover. Have a great day. Go practice. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.